Hi, I am here with the Vice President and General Manager of the Kamloops Blazers, Matt Bardsley. Matt, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing good, Zach. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. The Kamloops Blazers had a tremendous season this year. You guys won the BC division. You were definitely in contention to not only win the Western Conference, but potentially compete for a WHL championship had we had a playoffs. And we just completed the WHL Bantam Draft. Matt, this was a unique year for the draft. Normally we're all together. Obviously, we all had to be distant, making sure we're all socially distancing like we've been asked to flatten the curve of COVID-19. So what did the Kamloops Blazers do to prepare for this year's draft?
Well, I think, for the draft this year, quite honestly, it was no different than every year. It's led by our director of player personnel, Robbie Sandlin, and then we have two head scouts as well, Jason Pachelka and Ken Fox, along with all of our scouts. So obviously coming into the season, no one expected what was going to be happening going forward. So nothing really changed our approach to the draft. I think the one thing, as we went along, as the season went along, just our guys did a real good job with the evaluation, the player evaluation, but also getting to know the players and the parents, start to build relationships, just get to know them so that they get to know us, get comfortable with Kamloops. And I think, we usually try to start that earlier in the year, like maybe in January, when I say earlier, but after the Christmas break, we start to interview some players to get a bit of a feel of their thoughts and with the league and with Kamloops in general. And then when the season got postponed, obviously only having one of those provincial camps, SAS first, that was the only time we really got to see those, I guess, as a best on best. But at least we had most of our interviews completed by that time. So I think that kind of helped us leading up to the draft and in preparation for the draft.
Well, speaking of the draft, you guys held the 19th overall selection. You used that to select Caden Hamill from the West Vancouver Hockey Academy. What about Caden Hamill's game impressed you, impressed your scouting staff, and made you take him at the 19th pick?
Yeah, our guys just we like everything about it. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. He can really skate. He has a presence on the ice. He's offensive. He has a physical component. We feel he thinks the game pretty well. We just like everything that he brings to the table. Looking at our defense, we were looking at maybe getting a defenseman with one of our two picks. We were picking at 19 and 27. And quite honestly, when we do our draft list, we go strictly off of our list. So whoever was going to be up, so at 19, whichever player that was, even though if we needed a defenseman or not, it just happened to be that Caden was the next player on our list when we selected at 19. And like I said, when we look for players, hockey sense is probably the number one thing that we look for in a player. And we feel that Caden, really sees the ice well, sees the game well. So we were certainly excited to be able to select him at 19.
Well, you talked about how you work off your list. And on your list, you really liked two teams in particular with your first five picks, all those players coming from the Yale Hockey Academy or the West Van Hockey Academy. So can you speak on what those players, what you liked, especially, your second round pick, Graydon Slippick, and another Yale defenseman, Ryan Michael, who's a very strong defenseman that you guys were able to pick up in the third round?
Yeah, I think, with Slippick, again, once again, just going off of our list, and it just so happened to work that our first three picks happened to be from West Van. It's just the way it was as our list went, and when we were selecting, again, it was the next player up. But with Slippick, we think he has high offense, real dangerous off the rush, off the attack. When we talked to players within his league and anybody we interviewed and asked, who was the toughest player to contain or to play against, a lot of players mentioned Graydon just because maybe not a physical side of it, but just he was so dangerous, didn't know how to defend him. So we were really excited, obviously, to have him there at 27. And then Ryan Michael, we just what we look for in defensemen. I think in today's game, you need defensemen that can really skate, see the ice, can transport the puck, whether it's, going back for retrievals or coming up the ice, looking at options. The game is so quick. And for a defenseman, he really has to be able to be aware of what's happening on the ice. And we really liked Ryan's game. So we were happy to get him as well.
Now, you guys had another interesting approach in that you didn't select a goalie in this year's draft. Obviously, last year you guys one of the best goalies in Canada, and Dylan Ernst. Was that part of the plan that you had Dylan, so you weren't looking towards a goalie this year, or like you said, once you were going through your list, did you just not have another goalie that was in that slot you were looking for at the time?
Well, certainly we're very excited about Dylan. We feel he's has a chance to be an elite goaltender in our league. We believe that he will. But the other part too is we were able to select a goaltender from the U.S. draft, Calvin Vachon. So we felt that we did select a goaltender from this age group. And when it came down to it, we didn't know if we felt we needed to select another goaltender, even though there were some really quality goaltenders in the Bantam draft. But we felt we would just kind of focus probably more on the forwards and defensemen.
So looking ahead, what's next for these players to get them into the Kamloops system and just to get them into the culture?
Well, I think now it's probably a little bit more of what we're doing today, since we can't have a development camp right now, and not sure when we'll be able to have a camp. Hopefully sooner than later. But I think in the meantime, it's more of, as I talked about before, building relationships with the players and the parents. That's something that we're going to do at this time, is continue to be in touch with them, educate them on our program, what we're about, the options, why we think that we're a good fit for them should they decide that they want to sign and they want to come. It's for us, it's all about development. That's the number one thing. We want to develop hockey players, and we feel that that's something that we can do. So we'll continue to do that, and then like I said, just kind of keep maintaining that relationship between myself and Robbie and our scouting staff and our coaching staff. We'll have a constant communication with these players.